Ofra Haza Hebrew, the 19th of November 1957 to 23 February 2000 was an Israeli singer, songwriter and actress, commonly known in the Western world as the Madonna of the East. 1. Or the Israeli Madonna. 2. Her voice has been described as a tender mezzo-soprano. 3. In 2023, Rolling Stone ranked Haza at number 186 on its list of the 200 greatest singers of all time. 4. Of Mizrahi Jewish Yemenite Jewish descent, Haza's music is known as a mixture of traditional Middle Eastern and commercial singing styles, fusing elements of Eastern and Western instrumentation, orchestration and dance beat, as well as lyrics from Mizrahi and Jewish folk tales and poetry. 5. By the late 1980s, Haza was an internationally successful artist, achieving large success in Europe and the Americas, and appearing regularly on MTV. 6. During her singing career, she earned many platinum and gold discs, and her music proved highly popular in the club scene. 6. By the 1990s, at the peak of her career. 7. She regularly featured in movie soundtracks. 6. Such as that of Dick Tracy 1990 and famously in The Prince of Egypt 1998, and her vocals were popularly sampled in hip-hop. Her death in 2000 from an AIDS-related illness shocked Israeli society. In Israel, Haza was a highly influential cultural figure, referred to as one of the country's biggest cultural icons. 7. Who helped to popularize Mizrahi culture. 8. Early life. Batsheva Ofra Haza was born in Tel Aviv, Israel. 9. To Mizrahi Jewish parents from Yemen, who had immigrated to Israel in 1949. 10. With 8 children. 11. 8. 12. She was the youngest of 9 children. 13. 6 sisters, and 2 brothers to Yefet and Shoshana Haza. They were raised in a Masorti household of 14 in the Hadikva quarter, then an impoverished, working-class 7 neighborhood of Tel Aviv. 12. 15. 13. Although named Batsheva by her parents, her sisters disliked the name and preferred to call her by her middle name, Ofra, instead. Citation needed. Haza's earliest musical influences included her learning traditional Yemenite songs from her parents. 16. Haza's mother in particular, Shoshana, proved a major influence on her musical direction. Shoshana had been a professional 17 singer in Yemen and often performed at family celebrations, with Haza also recalling her mother singing to her children from an early age. 11 and 17. Additionally, early influences in her music came from Israeli folk songs, the Beatles, and Elvis Presley. 16. Haza herself began to exhibit a similar musical inclination to that of her mother, and began singing at an early age, including at local weddings, and as a soloist in her school choir. 11. At the age of 12, Haza joined a local protest theatre troupe, named Hadikva, The Hope, which had been recently founded by a neighbor of hers, Bezalel Aloni. 8. 17. Haza soon emerged as one of the most gifted performers in the troupe. 17. And manager Bezalel Aloni soon noticed her singing talent. He spotlighted her in many of his productions, and later became her manager and mentor. At 19, she was Israel's foremost pop star, and news articles have retrospectively described her as the Madonna of the East. 1819. International artist. She represented Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest 1983 with the song High, finishing second with 136 points. Her major international breakthrough came in the wake of the album Shirei Teiman, Yemenite Songs, which she recorded in 1984. The album consisted of songs that Haza had heard in childhood, using arrangements that combined authentic Middle Eastern percussion with classical instruments. 20. Further recognition came with the single Im Ninalu, taken from the album Sade, 1988, which won the New Music Award for Best International Album of the Year. 21. The song topped the Euro chart for 2 weeks in June that year, and was on heavy rotation on MTV channels across the continent. In the annals of classical hip-hop, this song would be extensively re-released, remixed and sampled, for example on Cold Cut's remix of Eric B. Rakim's Paid in Full. The single made only a brief appearance in the UK Top 40 Singles chart, but became a dance floor favourite across Europe and the US, topping the German charts for 9 weeks. Subsequent singles were also given the dance beat MTV-style video treatment. Most notably, Galbai, Dor Da Higher and Mata Hari, but none quite matched the runaway success of her first hit. Imninatlu would go on to be featured on an in-game radio playlist of the video game Grand Theft Auto, Liberty City Stories. Released in 2005 and featured on Punjabi MC's album Indian Timing in 2009, citation needed. Haza also received critical acclaim for the albums 50 Gates of Wisdom 1984, Desert Wind 1989, Kyria 1992, and Ofra Haza 1997, citation needed. In 1992, Kyria, co-produced by Don, was received a Grammy nomination, 21. In 1994, Haza released her first Hebrew album in 7 years, Kol Hanashama, The Whole Soul. Though not an initial chart success, the album produced one of her biggest hits to date, Luorek Hayam, Along the Sea, written by Ayala Asheroff. The song did not have any substantial chart success upon its release to radio, but became an anthem after Haza performed it on the assembly in memorial to deceased Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, a week after he was assassinated. Radio stations around the country began to play it. Its lyrics became even more symbolic following Haza's own death in 2000.